Kia ora koutou, welcome back. Only one trade today, but it was all I needed. I'm one day away from locking in a green week and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I took TRIB right after the open. The setup was not exactly the way I planned, looking for a strong pullback out of the gate, then a rally back to the highs was what I was looking for. But it pulled back further than expected, so I bought in near the low, and as it pushed back, I set a realistic target and locked it in. No hesitation, no overtrading, just taking what the market gave me and walking away. So let's break down the trade. So TRIB popped around 9 o'clock, around here. I didn't see any of this move, to be honest. I saw it as it started popping up on the scanner in this move here. And I saw the end of this green candle, and really this was my entry. There was a micro pullback here around, what was that? That was around 165, 170. And that was the entry that I should have taken there. I'd already qualified that it had a news catalyst, and the float looked okay. The price was the right price for me. And that was a really good entry there as it was pushing up. I didn't quite have the confidence to get in there. I waited until it came up here and hit a high, and even then as it pulled back down here to around $2 and held around the $2 level, that was the next entry I should have taken. So I just watched it basically through to the high at 243. So really I missed the best entries on at the end of pre-market as this made that initial front side move up here. But I thought because the news had just come out at 9 o'clock that it might be strong at the open. So I did expect the pullback as it had sort of pushed up here, extended up here, and there were some other stocks as well that were higher priced that had been pretty strong in the morning. So I thought it might pull back. It did. It pulled back further than I expected. I was looking for a hold around here, around VWAP, around the whole dollar, and then a push back up above VWAP. Unfortunately, it didn't do that. It pulled back and decent pullback all the way down to my entry down here. Now, I thought there was a level of support around 170, 160. So that's why I got in here at 171. Also, it was the first 5-minute candle had pulled back red, and I was looking for a rally back after the first 5-minute candle. So if I just swap to the 5-minute chart, you'll probably see that better. And yeah, so the first 5-minute candle's there, and it's just closing, and I bought at the close of that 5-minute candle at 171. It did pull back down to 164 though before pushing back, and I set a price target at 185, looking for that to push back up to around 190, and I think the only way it made it to 187 actually, on that first candle, 187, 188, and then it pulled back again down to, what was that, 168, and pushed back up to 188, 189.90, 188, 189, 190. So yeah, so that was my trade. And then it did what I thought it was going to do later on after 10 o'clock. It held around this level where I thought it would base out, and then it rallied all the way back up to a high of 344. So didn't quite time this right. It wasn't the support didn't come in there, or the buys didn't come in there until later on in the morning. There were a couple of other stocks that I think did some pushes at the start of the open. That had been stronger in the morning as well during pre-market. So I think that was XPON and SNOA. But yeah, that was my trade for today. Locked in $14 profit off that little dip buy there. So that was good. After that, walked away. My session finishes at 10 o'clock most of the time anyway. So that was me. I was all done. The other stocks that I did watch in the morning though, SNOA was one. So I get up to trade around 6:30 and this had already made its move. I'll just switch back to the 1 minute chart actually. So I was actually late getting up this morning. I got up at just after 7. So this had pushed from around 6 o'clock. Oh, what's that? Yeah, just before 6 o'clock, this had already pushed. And by the time it was 7 o'clock, it had already made this move up to a high of $8.30 and was on the backside when I saw it. I saw that dip, and this is where I sort of started watching it around 6.50. I did think about taking an entry around 6.50 as it was sort of holding this level, but it just seemed to be getting lower and lower and lower, the peaks here of these highs. So to me that was trending down and I didn't want to take the risk of getting caught in what eventually happened and it dropped back down to VWAP. But it still sort of held around VWAP for a while at pre-market, and then at the open it did a little bit of a push from around 550 up to 673, but I think that was pretty much it. It had done its main move here during pre-market. XPON was the next stock that I watched, and was it this? Yeah, I saw it around here when it broke VWAP initially, and then it sort of played around here, and I just, when it was at $3 here, I just didn't know which way I was going to go. I was really unsure whether it was going to break or not. And then as it broke up here, pushed up to 356 here. This was my entry here around 330, 340. I thought that might be a good entry for a next leg up. But once again, didn't have the confidence to get in there, even though MACD's still open. Yeah, but the volume came back in and it pushed up to 4, and you know, decent 50-cent trade, 60-cent trade in there. So yeah, but that held pretty well, and then at the open it sort of dumped, but then it put in a big move, pushing back up to 550 from VWAP at 322. So really good move on that trade, on that stock there. But I was watching TRIB and had sort of planned a trade around that, which was a better price range for me. This price range I could only afford probably around 50 shares, something like that. So it needs to go further, and it's just a little bit higher risk for me. So I didn't trade that. And the other stock that was within my limit was, or price target, better price range for me, was AERT. And I kind of missed this one here when it popped around 7 o'clock, broke through VWAP and pushed up to a high of 139. I did see it break. Where did I see it from? I think it was, oh, sorry. I think it was from around this candle here. I saw it push up and then sort of pull back, and like it pulled back to VWAP, and that was my entry there for bounce off of VWAP. And that would have been okay, getting in at 117, 116 and pushing back up over 130. That would have been a decent trade with 100 shares or just over 100 shares. that would have been, an okay trade. But, sort of on the backside of this move, so I didn't take it in the end. I just watched this one. And then it sort of went sideways. That was pretty much it. Rolled over, came down below VWAP and went sideways. And then at the open, this one actually obviously dipped at the start and then ripped up to a high of 127 from 104. So not a bad move for this lower price stock. But yeah, I didn't see this at the open. It had gone pretty much off my radar during pre-market, as it just looked like it was hitting a wall at 108 and it just wasn't breaking through there. And the float, I think, was a bit higher on this one. AERT, around 11 million. Yeah, not too bad. Whereas the float on TRIB was higher, but just higher up the gainer scanner. And the other stock that was actually probably one of my better opportunities was BMRA. I didn't see the initial pop on this here at 820. I saw it as it was coming up here. I missed that. It was pulling back, and I just wanted to see if it would bottom out at the 9 EMA and rally, and it kind of did. It held around here, around 373.80 for a little bit through this period, and I did think about getting in here at around 370 to see if it would break through VWAP and actually retest this high at 430. But I just couldn't find the news on it. And then when it popped up here and then rejected all the way back down to 360, it kind of put some red flags on it. But it did push again. There was another entry here around at 380 as it holding the 9 EMA again and pushed back up to retest the high at 460. So it did put in another good push here, but then it dumped again. It flushed back down to around $4, down to the 20 EMA, held there, and then pushed sort of gradually. Well, took a couple pushes to get up to over $5. So in the end, it was a pretty good stock, and it was moving pretty well, but I just couldn't find the catalyst. Yeah, I didn't check Benzing or anything like that, but there was no news on TradingView that I could find, and there was no news on my platform that had come up around it. The last news was in July, I think, so I just wasn't sure why it was going up. And if I don't know the catalyst, then it's not an A quality stock and doesn't fit within my rules or my selection rules for stock. So it might be moving, and yeah, it would have worked if I'd got in there at 373.80. I could have made possibly made a decent trade on that, but at the moment I have to be really, really careful about my stock selection and my setup as well. So I decided not to trade it and stayed off this one. I did watch it though, as there wasn't really much else to watch until around 9 o'clock when TRIB sort of popped up for me. So that was BMRA. The other one that I didn't really watch, but I saw that was on my scanner for most of the morning. This is a stock that had a $279 million float. So really thickly traded, and I didn't, just outside of my stock criteria for stock selection. So this one grinded up from around 620 to 770 over, from around 7 to around 9. So over 2 hours it grinded up. up to that high there. And in the open, it still kept going up to 8.12, but real grinder, it's a bit of a grinder, and well, yeah, thickly traded. So I didn't trade that at all. That was pretty much it. That was all the stocks that I sort of watched during the morning. So just put that down. So TRIB was the stock I traded today. $14 profit on that today, so happy with that. Hit my target of getting at least 10 cents a share out of the market. Made my daily goal $10 profit, so good. I was happy with that, and that obviously brings me up to 3 green days this week, only 1 red day, and I'm sitting at total profit this week of $17. Actually, if I take the of $21.42 gross profit this week, so that's good. I haven't had a green week for a while, and if I can manage my risk in the next session, and if I can hit my daily goal again around $10, then this will be a nice green week to lift my account and build that account back up. So that should be good. This is the kind of discipline I've been working toward. Earlier in my trading journey, I would have kept going, trying to squeeze out a bit more, and usually giving back profits. My strategy to rebuild my account is to minimize my risk and only take a maximum of 2 trades a day. Trade only A quality stocks, A quality setups. If the first trade is green, walk away. If it is red, I have a chance to make it back if the market allows it. Today was a reminder that sometimes the best move you can make is to keep to your rules and stop while you're ahead. So now I've got 1 more trading day to secure a full green week, something I haven't had in a while. Let's see if I can pull it off. Follow along to find out. I'll see you tomorrow. Hei ao pōpō.